Century Golem Edition Eastern Mountains. This is a game in the Century system that we have in two variants. One is about spices, one it's about golems, or at least, set in a generic fantasy world. And I played the original Century, the Golem Edition, which are pure drafting. You just grab stuff from the central area. In Century Golem Edition Eastern Mountains, now we have a board, so we need to travel around a little bit before we start drafting, before we start collecting stuff, trading stuff for different stuff, and finally trading the right set of stuff for tiles that require certain combinations of crystals to be returned to the supply to score the corresponding amount of points. The board is modular. You build it in one of many possible configurations. This is sort of like the suggested initial configuration. You can experiment with different ones, and you will use these tiles here. So great variety on the board because the play area will change every time. But generally speaking, you will have most of the tiles representing mountains, where you will be able to build trading posts so that you can collect the stuff that you see there, or I should say you can trade the stuff. So for example, if I'm there and I have a trading post, I can turn in a purple/pink crystal for these other crystals. Some tiles are just empty, just sad. They just make it longer to get where you want to go. And then we have 4 village tiles, which are the starting places for the players. And most importantly, those are the places where we place these tiles here, which again represent the victory points that we are trying to collect. The game end is triggered when a player claims their 4th victory point tile. Then you make sure that you finish the round. At the point, the player with the most points wins the game. Very simple. Now, during your turn, players will alternate taking turns. You have a little wagon here that we'll use to go around. It's really super cute. First, you get to move. You can move 1 tile for free, as simple as that. And then you can pay crystals to move more. There are also other costs associated with the presence of other caravans. But suppose that I really want to go there. I just move 1 for free, and then I do that by paying a crystal to the supply. And you have these nice holders here. You have 4 different kinds of supplies of different value. Yellow, for example, is the one that has the lowest value, simply because it's the one that's easiest to get. So that's the idea. First I move. Then if I go to a location where I don't have a trading post yet, before I can use the trading opportunities of the space, I need to build a trading post. Each player has a personal player aid that looks like this. That's also where you place the crystals in your supply. And when I place a trading post, I'll take it from my personal display, and the line from which I take it depends on the symbol on the location. Actually, suppose that I am trying to build something there, then I will take a trading post from the yellow line, the one with the same symbol as the location where I'm trying to build it. There are pluses and minuses, because suppose I keep building on yellow symbols around the board, then I start revealing increasingly higher numbers, and these numbers that are visible at the end of the game, these also are points that I add to my total together with the victory point tiles. However, if instead instead of just specializing in one kind of symbol, I diversify. And so every time I free columns, every time I free a column, I can take a bonus tile, and these bonus tiles will give me different things, from just points to different abilities to extra storage that I can add to my personal area to store more crystals. So I like this. I like this quite a bit. That this grid here gives me incentives to go in different ways, depending on different strategies, different times in the game. So, we were on a yellow space. There we go. So when you build a trading post, the cost is 1 crystal per trading post that is already there. That means the first player to get to a place and build something there is for free because there were 0. Now if another player comes around and they want to build there, now they have to pay 1 crystal because there already was 1. Somebody else wants to build there, well, they have to pay 2, and so on and so forth. After you build that, that is when you can finally use the ability. So for example, what player built a post there, they decide to use the trading ability, they discard these 2 to get those other tokens there. So again, you move and then you take an action. Trading with the space is going to be the main action, the most common action, because that's how you get resources. From time to time, you'll take also the other actions. So there are the 2 available actions. One is you get to a space with a tile, you have the corresponding pattern of crystals, you discard them, you take the tile, and another tile goes in place. The other action is maybe you're stuck, you're in a location that really doesn't do anything for you, a location that literally doesn't have any action. Then you simply harvest or mine. The rulebook calls in 2 different ways in different locations. Harvest, but then I believe it refers to mining, which is you take 2 crystals from the supply and you add it to your personal collection. So you're always getting something. The most anticlimactic turn is when you move and you collect 2 yellow crystals. So nothing, so not a real problem there, nothing that deprives you of energy. So this is it. This is the game. You go around trading, collecting sets of crystals that you trade for other sets of crystals that you spend to travel and to collect other sets of crystals, and then you go and you get your victory tiles. Remember, meanwhile, you're also freeing different areas of your personal supply or trading post, getting bonus tokens, unlocking victory points. And that's the general idea. At the end of the game, you'll have victory points from your tiles, again, from the numbers showing there, and also for your crystals. Each non-yellow crystal is worth a victory point. This is how you play the game. It's simple enough that you can play with children. Definitely, I've been playing it with my family, with my kids. They're now 9 and 11. And even the 9-year-old has no problem playing this game. The game looks really, really good. The production values, as in other games in the Century family, they just look very, very nice, very impressive, while at the same time remaining very easy to read because the patterns are very nice and clean. I do wonder, though, for colorblind or color-impaired players, that's my only concern, because it looks to me that these crystals have been coded only by color on the board. So I'm afraid that this game may not be playable by everybody in that sense. But if you can access the game, it plays very well. It plays like a fun family level or, light level game with all of the good stuff that you like from Century and that you also like from drafting games. It feels pretty much like a drafting game. It's so much about getting stuff from the board. But with a board, now with a more constrained way in which the different trading, in which the different systems will operate. And there is, of course, great fun in planning that. I'm gonna go there to get that crystal on my way there. I not have to waste a turn, but that will allow me to collect these 2. Then I get there and I trade those to get that other stuff. So going around back and forth, which may feel pretty dry, but at the same time, there is excitement and dynamism because everybody else is trying to do it. And as they do it, they're dropping their trade posts on the board, making things more expensive. They're getting in the way, and you also have to pay for that if you end your movement in an area that contains enemy wagons. So, another important thing, I'm looking at your collection of gems because it looks suspiciously like the pattern that I'm also trying to complete. So is there a way for me to kind of get in the way, making the acquisition of the last resource that you need more expensive to you so that I can get that before you get there? And then that doesn't work, you get it before. before I do, so let's see what happens next. Now, as the game progresses, one of the villages will become closed, so only 3 villages, so 3 tiles are available to collect victory points, and that also is very interesting because it increases the sense of a race towards similar objectives later in the game, because there are fewer things that you can score, so it's not just about getting it, but getting it before somebody else takes it. Also, that tile moves because suppose that now somebody has taken this tile, then that village, oh, they were so exhausted after all that trading, now that village is closed and the replacement tile goes there. If that village is the one where next to this is taken, that's how it works. So such a simple idea changes the emphasis where the more important locations are on the board over the game. So you have a very dynamic, very organic situation with all the fun stuff that we like in drafting games, with a bunch of interesting puzzles that emerge from the spatial arrangement of the board, and how the board changes as players by dropping trading posts. Again, change the priorities, change the opportunities, change the cost. A game that I think is like a perfect exemplification of all the great stuff that Eurogaming has achieved in the last decade or so, which is you have beautiful components, you have a very clear theme, and you have such smooth mechanics that keep you engaged while not really adding much in terms of how many rules you have to learn. The complexity, the fun, the puzzles all come from the players interacting with the board and with one another in such a simple, elegant system. So definitely I enjoy playing Century Golem Edition Eastern Mountains with my family. My kids played it also. We'd like to convince mom to try it at some point, but she saw all of those components and she felt a little bit daunted. We gotta convince her the game is very simple, very linear, most importantly, very fun.